my friend Kenny Chapman here, the Blue Collar Coach. Today I want to talk to you a little bit about how great service fuels the sales engine. I want you to think about the engine in your vehicle. I want you to realize that there's a certain amount of fuel that you put in there. My car happens to be a hybrid, meaning that I plug it in and it gets a charge from some electricity for a certain period of time that it runs in the morning, and then it uses that for supercharging and different types of things. Then once that runs out, it kicks into regular petro fuel, if you will, regular gasoline fuel. And I want you to think about the engine in your vehicle is just like the engine in your sales process. Your engine is your sales process, if you will. I want you to think about our 12-step ultimate client experience. I want you to think about the instant meeting maker topics that we share together, the strategies that we share, the times that we do some work together. We challenge our limiting beliefs. We open up and go, you know what got me here won't get me there. And I look at, there's an engine that I want to put better fuel into it. You think about different types of cars, different sports cars, different engines. If I've got a boat, then there's a specific type. I grew up riding motorcycles and I had a 2-stroke engine that I had to mix the fuel and oil at a certain amount. And depending on how lean or what the mix was depending on how rich my engine ran. And I want you to think about your own vehicle. If you have a diesel engine and you put regular gasoline in it, you have an issue, don't you? If you have an airplane, you need a specific type of fuel. When you have a sales process, there are certain things that completely set it free, that completely make it run efficient, that completely make it run exactly how you want. Predictability is the key, my friend. Today I'm here to set you free, and I want you to think about how great service is the fuel to your sales engine. So I want to kick off. We're going to talk about 5 different things today, but the first one is great service equals increased trust. I want you to think about how when great service fuels that sales engine, great service actually increases trust. And what happens from trust? We all know trust can turn into actual blind trust. I want you to think about these 2 words, brand loyalty. You have people that go to bat for brands even when they know they're not making the best product. You can talk about whether it's Apple products or different types of computers over the years. It could be different types of TVs or what am I trying to say? Home appliances, right? Refrigerators, washers, and dryers. Man, I grew up, mom and dad had a Kenmore. That was the Sears brand. That was it. Craftsman tools. That was it. Doesn't matter what it is. The type of gun that you have, the type of vehicle that you drive, a lot of those things come from brand loyalty that you didn't even think about. Where's my sports fans at, right? You are a loyal fan sometime. I'm a Charger fan because Dad brought me up in San Diego. I was a Charger fan. That's what it was. And I had loyalty and trust. And I want you to think about that. See, great service. No, they haven't won championships for me, but I'm not the plumber or the AC tech in the home now, am I? But when I think about great service, I want you to think about how that brand loyalty can show up. I want you to realize that happy clients equal trusting clients. Think about that for a moment. People that, if they're happy with the service, if they like the call taker, if they like how they're upped on the phone, if they like how the communication goes, if they're told they're going to get a call back and they actually get a call back at a reasonable time when they said they were supposed to, if people in the organization do what they said that they will do and people show up and technicians ask quality questions and involve them in the process, guess what? Great service increases trust. Happy equals trust. And guess what? Great communication equals happy. And great communication, when it equals happy, then it equals trust. When trust happens, then sales happen. And guess what? The most trusting clients create the highest margins because they want us to do the best things that we do, which sometimes have higher margins. That's ultimately what it comes down to. Make no mistake about it, my friends. It's about great service and it's about increasing that trust. Write that down, number 1. Number 2, great service has to do with creating buying habits now, doesn't it? Think about that for a moment. Can great service actually create a buying habit? Is that possible? Do you think can I remind you that you're not your own client? Can I remind you about certain people that buy certain vehicles because that's the habit, and they like the service, and they like the process, and they like the product, and they like the company, and they like the different things? See, I can't stand shopping for clothes personally. I'll just tell a personal quick story. I can't stand clothes shopping. And now that I'm blessed enough that I can go to a store where I get good service, I only go to the stores. I know it's only a couple times a year, and I probably spend less on clothes than most people, but those 2 times a year I go to higher end retailers where people wait on me, and they look at me and go, oh, I can guess about how long your legs are, and I can guess what type of a sport coat you're going to need. Here, try this one on. It almost fits like a glove every time, because they're professionals and they know their thing, and they've created a buying habit to where twice a year I know I'm going to go to Nordstrom and do some clothes shopping because I'm going to get amazing service, and if something doesn't work out, they're going to take it back, no questions asked. And great service has created a buying habit. Now, am I comparing you to Nordstrom? 100%. Yes, 1,000, 100,000%. How many? Infinity percent. Yes, absolutely. Because this is the second dimension of change. In my book that I wrote and I talked about, this is where you create habit in your own life. You have habits of how you process, how you go through your process, how you offer options, how you sell, how you close, how you ask for sale. All those things are habits. Guess what? How you create great service can also impact client buying habits, and that's where the power comes in. I want you to think about club members. I want you to think about reviews. I want you to think about replacements. I want you to think about those of you that have generational companies, have been around a long time, and you look back and go, oh wow, we replaced a furnace for the grandmother, and then we replaced a boiler for the mom and dad, and now we just if you do new construction, we just plumbed the new home for little Johnny and Susie's first home. Whatever that looks like, you see that you can create these things and you are in control of it, my friend. Great service creates buying habits. How about for you? Third thing, write this down. Great habits are tied. Great habits. Great service, let me say that. Great service is tied to personal recognition. Now, how ego do we have to get? Really, we're going to talk about the service plumber, the electrician, the heating and air tech, a restoration, like whatever. We're going to talk about a garage door company that's going to create personal recognition. Really? Am I going to be an AC tech that goes back for maintenance and have a personal recognition? I'm going to communicate with my dispatcher to put in notes about the dog and when the dog's birthday is, and it happened to be that, really? Am I talking about that? Yes, my friends, I am. And I want you to really get clear about this, because great service is tied to personal recognition, and personal recognition has never been craved at a level like it's being displayed right now. Now, check that as I say that. Maybe it has been craved, but it's never been able to be displayed, to be shared at a level like it has today. I want you to think about labels. I want you to think about personal recognition when it comes to marketing. I look at there's a beverage maker, Coca-Cola, that happens to have, I can go buy a bottle of Coke right now that has my name on it. It's mine. I can get my Coca-Cola. It'll say Kenny on the bottle. And if your name is Susie, you can get your own bottle of Coke that says Susie. Do you think we crave personal recognition, my friends? Do you think great service can tie to personal recognition? When I have some notes, when I have the dispatcher remind me, when I have good technicians communicating different things, and I can pick up and go, oh, hey, I realized that Roger was here last time, and he was saying, now let me get this right. Spot had a birthday when Roger was here last time. How old's Spot now? Talk to me. Personal recognition. That's what it's all about. And I want you to think about, they're trying to, have been trying to for years, to commoditize our industry, if you will. What do I mean by that? Every company's the same. Guess what? Too many companies operate like every company's the same. Now, that being said, how can I change that? How can I impact that? How can I interrupt that and differentiate? I do it through personalized service, my friends. I realize that, guess what? If I stay with my insurance agent because they personally care, because they reach out, because they send me a birthday card, what about banking? What about personalization? You can go open a checking account anywhere. Most of your banking is done online now. But when there's that personalization, you choose banking, you choose relationship, and the same is true with service providers. I want you to think about that for plumbing, heating, air, electrical. In-home service providers, certainly chosen and reinforced with personal recognition. Now, I want you to think about the fourth thing. Great service provides the ability to anticipate upgrades, improvements, enhancements. A great service, I'm looking for it. I'm on the edge. What's next? I'm looking out for my client, on behalf of my client. I'm studying. I'm knowing where the industry is going. I'm paying attention to trends, to market moves, to what different things are going to happen. At the time we're recording this, about a month or so ago, I guess, I got back from Frankfurt, Germany. I went to the largest plumbing show in the world. It happens every 2 years. It's in Frankfurt, Germany. It's the only place in Europe large enough where they have enough space to hold this incredible show. And there's so many things that aren't even legal in the United States. We don't even have access to yet. There's so many things that are coming. There's so many things that are anticipatory that are going to show up here, from efficiency to different types of lighting, to different types of charging, to different types of technology in plumbing, car wash type showers, different, whatever that looks like. Here's what I know. One of the things I saw at the show is I can take my iPhone and I can flush the toilet, right? And I didn't know that I needed to flush the toilet with my iPhone. I really didn't. To this day, don't know that I need that, but guess what? When it comes out, when it's available, when you're using it and you're going, wow. Wonder how did we do it when we had to actually wave our hand and flush something? Think about before you had to get up and walk and turn the TV remote. I don't know if that's where we're going with remote flushing and iPhones, but I also know there was a time I didn't know that I needed an iPhone, but Apple had an anticipation for what my buying habits might even be, what enhancements, improvements might be. Now we've got an iPhone 10, and guess what? There's another one coming in the fall. Why? Because they're anticipating what's next for us. Our clients count on us to do that. The same is true for you. What are you looking at? How are you paying attention? Where does that go? And last and certainly not least, I want you to realize, my friends, that great service creates a story. There are stories behind service. When you look at, the Christmas type of marketing, there's, I think about marketing because marketing is really storytelling. Sales is storytelling with a benefit attached to a decision that could be made based on an option available. And when you think about great service creates stories because there's something to be had. When it comes to the fact that people will beat on top of the mountaintop and say, this is the greatest service company on the planet. Here's where I was. I was in a dark place. I had a challenge. I had urgency. I had a demand call. I had a broken pipe. I had a leak. I had an outage. I had no AC. Whatever the case might be, there can be a story. Now, here's the reality. There are stories every single day that take place. Are you capturing them? Are you providing that service that hits the highest level? Anybody can get it done. I just talked about leaks. I talked about outages. I talked about no AC. Guess what? Hundreds, if not thousands of clients are dealing with that across the United States, Canada, and Australia right now. But how service companies are dealing with that affects everything. It affects call count next year. It affects profitability, which impacts benefits, which impacts compensation plans, which impacts all the things that come from really great service just turning into a story. Yes, my friends, that's ultimately what we're talking about. Because when you create great service, you create a story. You think about an average airline like Southwest. Are they average or are they awesome? Here's the deal. The story says they're awesome. The profitability says they're awesome. You may want to not have to choose your own seat or get herded around like cattle, but they know exactly who they are and they create a story based on it. You know exactly who you are. You know the company you work for. You know where you're at. You know that great service is the fuel to the sales engine. When you get really, really clear about increasing trust through great service, when you're impacting buying habits in a positive way through great service, when you enhance personal recognition through great service, when you're anticipating the improvements, the enhancements, and the upgrades that are coming or will be coming and seeding those conversations so you are that consultant for your client and ultimately creating the story from scratch or a challenge. We dropped the ball, we made a mistake, and we recreate an amazing story. Either way, these are the parts of fuel for the sales engine. I'm Kenny Chapman, the Blue Collar Coach. Until we talk, make it a better than fantastic week, and we'll see you real soon.
Thank you for watching this video and subscribing. Do us a favor, comment below and tell us what your thoughts are and what your takeaways are. Remember, you're either winning or you're learning.